Yes. Yes, thank you.
us join our hearts in a spirit of focus and devotion. Come, powerful Spirit, come. Blow over us and through us. Swing wide the shutters on our hearts and the gates on our minds. Remind us that we are yours and that all things are possible through you. Come, fiery Spirit, come. Open our mouths to speak truth to power in whatever tongue we have been gifted. Open our hands to bring your bounty to all who are in need. Come, adventurous Spirit, come. Lead us out of our places of comfort to risk what we know for what we might learn. To step into spaces of struggle where we can together wrestle with unfamiliar ideas, opinions contrary to our own, and fresh relationships that challenge our assumptions of ourselves and each other. Come, innovative Spirit, come. Take the blinders from our eyes so that the light of possibility shines bright before us, compelling us to leap out in faith, finding a way we hadn't seen before. Come, Spirit of grace and glory. You have brought us to this day to unleash us into the vastness of knowledge we have yet to engage. You have brought us to this place to encounter the richness of our interconnectedness. Thank you, great Spirit. We are your people, and this is our moment. In your promise we pray. Amen.
Good evening. Good evening. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Fall 2021 Theological School Matriculation Service. Did you think you were going to see it? This is a momentous occasion, as this is the first in-person matriculation ceremony in 2 years since the fall of 2019. In gathering here today, we remind ourselves that rituals mark time. Rituals mark time, and it is a good time to mark time. To mark this time, it is a time both of a transition to what lies ahead and a recognition of where we have been. To gather here in all of the familiar ways, faculty marching around in their colors, the book being held aloft and signed, the music filling our ears in this historic chapel, all of these familiar things are part of what make Drew Theological School Drew Theological School. Through repetition, through what is familiar. And yet we are not the same as the last time that we gathered. I just want to name one way in which we are not the same. And that is that the faculty have done amazing things in the last year and a half. They have worked tirelessly to be present to you, to help you to be present to each other, and for they themselves to be present as colleagues in our shared work and shared values. They are heroes for what they have done. I think we need to thank them. Let's all stand up and thank the faculty. With technology and pedagogy to create these vibrant new learning spaces, they have brought you together. They have brought you together in a pandemic. Our community has enacted what we always sing here: draw the circle wide, and then draw it wider still. Today, students are joining us from 16 different US states, and 17 different countries across the globe. So tonight, I want to give a special welcome to the entering classes of Fall 2020, Spring 2021, and Fall 2021. You have shown up in virtual spaces. It's not always easy, but you have shown up to learn, to reflect together, to create, to raise voices in activism, and to reach out to care for each other in the midst of a world of trauma. Tonight, you mark what you already know. You are welcome here. And I invite you to bring all of yourselves to this place. Use time, use place, use ritual, use your context, use your questions. Make this place. Drew Theological School. Use God's calling on your lives. Use your passion for justice. Make this place new again and again and again. Welcome. It is. Go ahead. Welcome to the students. At this moment, I want to call on Provost Jessica Lakin, who is a professor of psychology here at Drew University, to bring her greetings as well.
Good evening. It is my great pleasure to be here as the person who oversees all of academic affairs at Drew to welcome you to this momentous evening. Some of you have already been here for quite some time, in person, also online, and connecting with each other virtually. And yet this evening is a very important moment in your experience at the Drew Theological Seminary. It represents a coming together, an official demarcation of your role in the history of this school. As you sign this book, as many individuals have before you, you are connecting to those who came before you, to those who are here with you this evening, and to the many students who will come after you. And I think that this moment is very important because we have to recognize that connection. You all have chosen to embark on a journey. You have done so by overcoming significant obstacles. This is not a moment that most individuals would decide to pursue graduate education. And yet here you are. You've made that commitment. Some of you are well into your studies, and you understand that the commitment that you have made is so important because of what it means to you personally, what it means to your loved ones, and what it means to the world. Because you clearly share the same vision that we have for students across all of Drew University, to contribute and make the world a better place. So I congratulate you on making this difficult decision, on overcoming those obstacles to get here this evening, and remind you that even when everything seems so challenging and so daunting, you should pause, reflect, and connect. Good luck on everything as you continue your studies, and I look forward to seeing you on campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Lakin. Before we proceed with the program for this evening, I want to take a moment to introduce our speaker, who will be speaking in a few minutes, and that is Professor Angella Son. She will be giving the matriculation address this evening. Angella Son is an ordained Presbyterian minister and an ACPE psychotherapist. Dr. Son earned her PhD from Princeton Theological Seminary and joined the Theo School faculty in 2001. I think you all know what I mean when I say Angella's courses in pastoral care are vibrant and crowded, full of serious crossing of theory and practice, full of attending to things like joy and shame and anger in ways that are constructive and engaging communities, while also using her intellectual partners such as Heinz Kohut and Marie Bowen in family systems theory to really deepen the analysis that is happening in the classroom. Dr. Son also leads a powerful cross-cultural immersion course to South Korea that emphasizes the stories and the history of Korea's comfort women and girls from the Japanese occupation. This is a very important contribution that Dr. Son makes to public history and memory. And the students are able to travel with her and to engage not only this history in Korea and these people in Korea, but also the landscape of faith and multicultural trends that are now changing the face of Korea. Dr. Son, it is no surprise, was named Scholar Teacher of the Year in 2019. Her book, Spirituality of Joy, Moving Beyond Dread and Duty, does what all of her research does: engages classical themes with fresh eyes, fresh contexts. She's also working on a book on Korean American pastoral care and is therefore leading the field in creating a body of work and a conversation among scholars in this important emerging field. If you want to benefit from Angela's wisdom, take a workshop with her on group dynamics. Or listen in on her Coping with Anxiety podcast, which I probably need to put on my playlist once a week. There's much more that we could say about the Rev Dr Angella Son and her contributions to this community. But let me just say at this moment that I am happy to welcome her to the podium tonight. But I also want to say a word about our modalities. Dr. Son will be joining us via Zoom. We are having a mixed mode event in honor of our new community that spans distances to bring us together in time. Those of you watching on live stream, I don't know where to look there. Those of you watching us on live stream, you will not have to be outsiders to Dr. Son's talk. She's in your space. She's speaking directly to you. We here in the chapel are onlookers. We are looking into the live stream space as Dr. Son addresses us all from our favorite Drew Zoomland. Thank you, Dr. Son, for helping us as we do this new experiment to cross time and space together. As we do at Drew, we are drawing the circle wider still.
Like a bird who has fallen, I rest in your hand, hoping and praying you will understand. Fill in the pieces, never fully there, healing my soul, Lord, with your love and care. Can you make up the difference? Can you teach me to fly? Can you lift me to freedom in the boundless sky? Can I dwell in you safely? Will you fill my heart? Will you ready me for a brand new start? God, I wait here before you, filled with fear and praise, hoping and praying to accept your grace. Can you make up the difference? Will you teach me to fly? Will you lift me to freedom in the boundless sky? Can I dwell in you safely? Will you fill my heart? Will you ready me for a brand new start? Will you bless and forgive me? Can I be truly yours? Will you wash me in mercy till my spirit soars? Spirit soars. Oh, you can make up the difference. You will teach me to fly. You will raise up my spirit past the reasons why, and I can dwell in you safely. You will fill my heart. Lord, please ready me. Oh Lord, ready me. Oh Lord, ready me for a brand new start. A brand new start. A brand new start.
Good evening. Tonight, we are reading from the book of Amos, Psalm, first, Amos 5:24. But let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Psalm 72:1-7. Give the king your justice, O God, and righteousness to a king's son. May he judge your people with righteousness and your poor with justice. May the mountains yield prosperity for the people, and the hills in righteousness. May he defend the cause of the poor, of the people, and give deliverance to the needy and crush the oppressor. May he live while the sun endures, and as long as the moon, throughout all generations. May he be like rain that falls on the mown grass, like showers that water the earth. In his days, may righteousness flourish and peace abound until the moon is no more. This is the word of the Lord.
Either in person or via online. One early morning in the summer of 2019. After him, and both of them disappeared from my side. So I was not myself, even though I was the one who was upset and expressed. That I was sorry and explained about menopause. Period of time. I also have a memory of it's like a revolving door. 1999. Also, destructive rage is often unfairly and ridiculously attributed to certain groups in society, such as African Americans and Latino Americans, and is used to castigate and stereotype them as if others do not have rage problems. The massacre shootings shock people, but more attention is directed to the horrific nature of shootings than the rage behind such extreme violence. Rage is identified, but often not registered in people's mind, or in some situations, it is not even identified. According to USA Today on November 7th, 2018, a 28-year-old white male, Ian David Long, walked into Borderline Bar and Grill, a Western dance bar in Thousand Oaks, California, and shot for nearly 3 minutes with a Glock 21 with an extended high-capacity magazine. In addition to many injuries, 11 fatalities occurred, including the death of an injured deputy and Ian David Long himself. Long's horrendous shooting spree might have been prevented if his rage was identified and addressed at the time of his domestic dispute when Ventura County Sheriff and his department were dispatched to his home in April of that year. One thing is clear, rage is with us to stay and tends to revolve around without giving us a break. It is thus critical for us to embrace and understand rage so that we'll have a better chance at stopping the revolving rage in our lives. Moreover, a clear understanding of rage, which seems to offer a destructive side, can surprise us by revealing its robust and constructive side. That is, a driving force behind the changes. What do I mean by this? Rage is defined by Oxford English Dictionary as violent, uncontrollable anger as a noun, and feel or express violent, uncontrollable anger as a verb. Three characteristics stand out in this definition: violent, uncontrollable, and anger. No wonder rage is understood as the most negative experience by many. One in rage is violent, out of control, and heated. Rage is what we would rather avoid, both on the dispatching and receiving ends. This negative understanding of rage is what we conventionally know about rage. However, if we were to examine it from a different angle, we can find one thing that is common to three characteristics of rage. I say that is force. Violence, being out of control, and anger are all driven by force. The common understanding of rage addresses only attack as its critical element. However, I redefine rage to mean a driving force for changes. Again, I say I redefine rage to mean a driving force for changes. I would thus redefine rage as a driving force and understand it to have both constructive as well as destructive manifestations. My starting point is where Lee Butler directs our focus. Lee Butler, in liberating our dignity and saving our souls, appeals to find creativity as the inseparable ally of rage, so that rage does not stop at being a destructive force in life. Butler states, quote, "The task, however, is not to deny the rage, but to transform its energy into a creative force. The creative transformation of rage conquers the enemy and restores the soul to living a life with joy." End of quote. Instead of taking the current understanding of rage pertaining only to a simplistic, narrow, and prejudicial view of the destructive side, I propose that rage can be either destructive or constructive, and that constructive rage is a transforming force that can be the very source of justice in this world. I say that rage as transforming force has been ignored, suppressed, and denied, but it should be resuscitated so that what seems impossible can be challenged for justice to have its thriving life in our lives. For instance, Stacy Marshall, a farmer in the state of Georgia, learned that her family had owned 7 slaves and wanted to make things right. Her desire in wanting to make things right and moving into action are driven by rage as transforming force. For about 3 years, she started learning about her family history, asking around what might be the best possible ways for her to make reconciliation for justice, educating college kids about injustice and white privilege about slavery. She's doing this even though she knows talk about white privilege and racism would not mean anything to people in her town and county. While she's still looking for means of reconciliation for justice, her resilient effort is chipping away what seems impossible. I offer to you that rage as transforming force has at least 3 different types of power. They are revealing power, collaborating power, and interrupting power. Today, instead of going into detailed explanations, let me offer you some illustrations. On August 31, 1955, the brutally mutilated Emmett Till's body turned up in Tallahatchie River, Mississippi. Emmett Till, a 14-year-old African-American boy from Chicago visiting his relatives, was kidnapped by Roy Bryant and his half-brother Jacob Millen 3 days earlier for being accused of indecency to Carolyn Bryant, Roy Bryant's wife, at her grocery store in Monee, Mississippi. On September 23, 1955, both Roy Bryant and Jacob Millen were acquitted of their crime. A year later, they admitted to a magazine that they had committed the crime for monetary compensation. What is clear is that Till did not deserve the horrific lynching to end his life. Till's gruesome death is an assault by Brian Millen, who acted on their destructive rage. However, the actions taken by Mamie Till Mobley, the bereaved mother of Emmett Till, represent the opposite. Her constructive rage revealed the horrendous truth behind Emmett Till's death. Mamie Till Mobley's courageous acts forced the world to wake up from treating white violence over Black bodies as a normal part of Black-white relationships in 1950s. It is fitting for Timothy P. Tyson to entitle his 8th chapter on her intentional bravery, quote, "Mama made the earth tremble," end of quote. And for Jesse Jackson to comment in his foreword to Mamie Till Mobley's memoir, quote, "Mamie turned the crucifixion into a resurrection," end of quote. Mamie Till Mobley was struck by heart-wrenching sadness and pain over her son Emmett's death, and she experienced its horrific nature as if her body was breaking into smithereens. Mamie Till Mobley, however, did not remain in her personal tragedy, but found courage and, quote, to make her private grief a public matter, end of quote. In the 1950s, the killing of Black boys by white men was ingrained as a normalcy in people's minds, especially in the South. It was not so for Mamie Till Mobley. Mamie Till Mobley's rage identified a parallel between Jesus' crucifixion and her son's appalling and undeserving death. On September 2nd, 1955, Emmett Till's body arrived at the train station at 12th Street, and the Chicago Defender reported Mamie Till Mobley crying out, quote, "Lord, you gave your only son to remedy a condition, but who knows but what the death of my only son might bring an end to lynching," end of quote. Her rage saw the meaning of her son's life as well as his death and resisted the negation of his life by whites as well as Bryan and Miller. Chicago Sun-Times reported, quote, "She said softly, 'You didn't die for nothing,' end of quote." At the funeral home, the Chicago Sun-Times reported that Mamie Till Mobley made an unthinkable decision as a mother, and it was to expose her son's horrific look to the world by holding an open casket funeral. She cried out, quote, "Let the people see what they did to my boy," end of quote. Her rage was a fueling force in revealing the horrific injustice done to her son, as well as to the Blacks. More importantly, the rage of Mamie Till Mobley triggered constructive rage in others and brought forth courageous and righteous acts. Her rage allowed a legitimate space for expressions of others' rage. African Americans in the South finally could reach into their rage that was suppressed by the fear of white violence and could engage in the creative space of rage for the civil rights movement. For instance, Rosa Parks took her seat in a white section and when asked by the driver, refused to move to the segregated seats for Blacks. Her action was prompted by the brutal injustice inflicted on Emmett Till. This happened 4 days after she heard the first-hand account of Emmett Till's case from Dr. T.R.M. Howard at Martin Luther King's Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery. She refused to move as she was thinking of Emmett Till in the bus. Her subsequent arrest provided the occasion for the Montgomery bus boycott. Her righteous action of resistance resulted in her arrest, which then became fuel for other courageous and righteous rage and actions at the time, such as Montgomery bus boycott, and continues to inspire many others to engage in righteous acts for others to this day. The Montgomery bus boycott was a protest campaign against the racial segregation that existed in the public transit system in Montgomery, Alabama. It was a pivotal event in the civil rights movement led by Rev Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and many other influential civil rights activists, and illustrates the interrupting power of rage as transforming force. It continued on for more than a year from December 5, 1955 till December 20, 1956. Its collaborating and interrupting power brought about a United States Supreme Court decision that declared the Alabama and the Montgomery laws that segregated buses were unconstitutional. Mamie Till Mobley is a hero who acted on her rage at injustice. This act brought about an amalgamation of the rage of so many others that ultimately made the progress of the civil rights movement possible to this day. This is the revealing, collaborating, and interrupting power of rage as transforming force. Just like Mamie Till Mobley, Rosa Parks, civil rights activists, and Stacey Marshall, we need to embrace our rage and allow it to move us with transforming force to bring justice and love in our days. We need to move from ignoring, suppressing, and denying our transforming force and let our rage do its work so that justice, the air we breathe in, many no longer suffer in their lives in sickness, poverty, discrimination, and so forth. As you all know, Psalm 72 is a prayer for God's blessing on the king. I think the psalm can be also a prayer for God's blessing on us. We can pray for God's blessing on us by using us in place of king. So to end my address, I would like all of us to read Psalm 72, verses 1 through 7, with a little revision. So I will read each verse, and I would like you to repeat after I read each verse. Psalm 72, verses 1 through 7, revised. Give us your justice, O God, and your righteousness to our children. May we judge your people with righteousness and your poor with justice. May the mountains yield prosperity for the people and the hills in righteousness. May we defend the cause of the poor of the people, give deliverance to the needy, and crush the oppressor. May we live while the sun endures, and as long as the moon throughout all generations. May we be like rain that falls on the mown grass, like showers that water the earth. In our days, may righteousness flourish and peace abound until the moon is no more. May we awaken our rage, our transforming force, so that justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream in our days and days to come. Amen.
and at peace. May we be safe, may happiness surprise us, may we be awake and free. Awake and free.
We have come to the time in our ceremony when those of you who have joined and are joining our community inscribe your names in the book that bears witness to all those who have formed part of this learning community. I want to invite you to bring to heart and mind the joy that brought you to join, the call that brings you into community, the commitment that you engage and lean into in your life. In this moment, as you sign your name into this book, you join together with more than a century of learners, of transformers, of joy bringers, of justice makers. It is time, with that joy, that call, that determination on your spirit, to bring your name, that this community will remember you long after the work of your hands and your heart and your spirit are physically gone. Come forward. For you online, bring your spirits forward. Reinscribe you too in our hearts in this moment. It is time to sign.
Beloved, it is my pleasure to invite the entering class of the fall of 2020 to please rise. And as you're able, you will follow me to the platform.
Yes.
Christian Taylor. David Gatan. Mary Larson. Patricia Hennigan. Lomax R. Bland. Jung Hyun Woo. Patrick Labanimo. Rutendo Felitas Mahachi. Tabiwa Andre Manyonga. Taylor Fugate. Andrew Maggs. Mark Harmon. Adrian Mendoza. Chris Page. Bridget Dwyer.
This is a just be delicate, please. Okay. Here's fall 2017.
Hunter Edwards. Elizabeth Quick. Dominic Bocci. Prume Lee. Ha-Young Kang. Jesse David Dickin. Michael Dwayne Jenkins. Mark Tarman Jr. Nelson Nagongo. Lawrence D. Alston. Min Lee. Domingos Francisco Fernando. Thurcell Chisholm Williams. Ye-Yoon Kim. Gene Christopher Lee.
Entering class of the fall of 2020, please be seated. Beloved, would the entering class of the spring of 2021 please rise and make your way around the back of the chapel to the podium. And as you return to your seats, you may be seated as you return.
Sung-Woo Kim. Dong-Jun Lee. Takasango. Hyun Kyung Son. Joy Ann Williams. Byung Hwan Choi. Hyung Jin Choi. Sun-Woo Lee.
Congratulations to the entering class of the spring of 2021. Would the entering class of the fall of 2021 please rise and make your way to the podium?
Jack Taroni. Caleb Cripe. Esther Newell. Stephanie Kramer. Sang-Woo An. Dae Kyung Ko. Carolina Gloucester. Shin Young Kim. Bibi Falone Kai. Carolina Nueyama. Edwidge Mutwale. Thessalonica Kauna. Farani Wankar. Gladys Karapoan. Young-Il Lee. Young-Il Lee. Jung-Yu Park. Kenya Vanessa Rodriguez. Su Yu Lin. Damien Pascal Dominic. Joanne Kim. Min Jin Yu. Hu Yun Lee. Sung Ho Moon. Pyong Kang Kim. Joshua Umbo.
Congratulations to the entering class of the fall of 2021. We now have an opportunity for students and alumni who entered in semesters prior to the fall of 2020 to sign the book if they have not previously done so. So if you are one of those people, I invite you to make your way now to the podium.
Megan Hale.
Congratulations to all.
Friends, please stand. As we receive this blessing, for a moment, turn your head to someone next to you and look them in the eye. Now turn the other way and try to catch someone else's eye. For it is in each other that we receive the blessings of God's love and care. As you go forth from this place, take joy, take peace. Go forth and find within you and each other constructive rage that is revealing, collaborative, and interrupting to answer the world's destructive rage. Find blessing, God's blessing, in each other and pass it forward. Amen.
We are marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of God.
sometimes folks have been in 2 programs, didn't sign the first time around.
Yep.
The book is otherwise kept under lock and key.
I know.
So,
Yep. Thank you.
of course.
Hello.